give us some thoughts on Wisconsin, what you've seen of them. How do they look different from past Badger squads, and how does Iowa go up to a really difficult place to play and win on national TV next week?
Well, I thought against Purdue, I thought they looked a little bit vulnerable. Purdue hit a lot of big plays on them, moved the ball up and down the field. Difference in that game, I think, Wisconsin was probably at least +2 on turnovers, I believe. And they were playing on the road. So some teams have a little different personality at home. And that was certainly a quality win today. I thought Rutgers might pull it off. Rutgers is a dangerous team. And we'll certainly see them that way as they get ready to play in Kinnick, too. It'll be a challenge to make that still another win for us. It won't come easy, I think. The thing that concerns me preseason, they were talking about the Wisconsin offensive line being one of their better ones. That's a concern. And then I knew at the time they had a really good 1-2 punch at running back. Since then, the backup is injured, but it sounds like this third running back is more than capable also.
And Tanner Mordecai is mobile, as is Hudson Card. Iowa did a nice job containing Hudson. I think, based on what I've seen, Mordecai is a little bit more of a willing runner. How does Iowa contain him?
That's got to be a concern. One thing it probably does, you didn't see a lot of two-man today in passing situations because I'm sure we were worried about the quarterback. You'll probably see again next week in those long yardage situations, you probably won't see two-man because I think the concern would be there's nobody manned up on the quarterback. So in that regard, more cover two probably, or maybe I think we had some combo coverage today. Maybe if Wisconsin has a clear choice in critical downs, maybe you'll see a couple of DBs comboing on one receiver. You heard me suggesting that some people might try to do that to Eric Hall going forward because obviously he's a guy that we feel comfortable throwing the ball to.
Wisconsin, and Don kind of alluded to it, Wisconsin was +1 today on turnovers against Rutgers. Iowa was +1 today against Purdue. It always seems like this game. I go back to 2021. I go back to 2015. I go back to 2018. Go back to 2019. Turnovers are always big in this series. And they're big in every Iowa game. But, man, I think back to 15, the Joel Stave fumble along the goal line. That play doesn't happen. Iowa probably loses. It doesn't get a trip. Well, they don't have a as clear of a shot at the college football playoff. Of course, they fell just short with that loss to Michigan State, but almost got in despite the loss. That probably doesn't happen if that Stave fumble doesn't happen. 2018, I think back, that was the game. Well, 2017 was the game where Iowa had 2 pick sixes by Josh Jackson a week after the Ohio State win. 2018 was the Tyrone Tracy, what was it, like an 85-yard catch and run that sent that game, I believe, to overtime, or maybe it was 2 points from going to overtime. And there was a strip sack, I know, by A.J. Epinesa in that game on the Wisconsin quarterback. 2019, you had a couple of weird special teams gaffes with Kyle Groneweg returning punts, and that was the one where the punt went off of Sean Byers' foot or leg, and there was another punt return by Groneweg where the ball just popped out. So, like, every year in this series, something like that happens. And then, of course, 2021, there were some really strange goings-on in that game. I won't name names, but you probably remember there was at least one tailback in that game who had issues at Iowa with fumbling the football, who got a little loose with the football. I think Iowa had a muffed punt in that game as well, perhaps by I'm trying to think of who that would have been. Max Cooper, perhaps? Sorry, Max, if you didn't do that. I apologize to Max Cooper in advance. But, I mean, you just have to look at turnovers, Don, right? Turnovers and penalties. And Wisconsin played clean football today, 2 penalties for 25 yards. Iowa played clean football today as well, 2 penalties for 20 yards. So penalties and turnovers, I got to go back to those 2 categories, Don.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we clearly won on penalties. We had a significant margin on penalties and penalty yardage today. I don't know this disparity, but it was significant, right? Purdue got flagged a lot. So I know going
for 45 yards.
Yeah. The one thing I'm sure of, the players are going to hear from Kirk that we've got to find a way to play a clean game. There's no way we can make more mistakes than Wisconsin and be guaranteed to win the game. Wisconsin's going to hear the same thing. Both teams have that same mindset. You got to be able to win on turnovers. Don't beat yourself with penalties. Guard against explosive plays. Another thing that I think is key for us, again, we got to get off to a solid start because we don't want to try to play from behind against a Camp Randall crowd that could be difficult to deal with. So let's start fast. Let's at least never be more than one score down. Hopefully be one or two scores ahead throughout. That'll give us our best chance. We do not want to play from behind against these guys. Again, if it's only one score, we can deal with that. But hopefully we're never behind by more than one because that will make it more difficult.
Iowa, Wisconsin next Saturday on Fox, 3 p.m. Central Time for the kickoff. I'll be with you live for Iowa postgame right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm, and then we'll have a special part 2 of the show with Coach John Patterson Sunday evening. We'll be back 2 days in a row. It's always fun to make it a long weekend.